Hello there. Haven't done one of these in a long time. If you actually, I just found it was like 2017, so it's been 4 years since I've done one of these. I've been meaning to do it for a long time and just keep putting it off, forget into, and yeah, I'm getting old. In case you're wondering, this is not, if you've seen the videos I did back in 2017, one of the first things you probably notice is I don't seem to be in the same place I was before. Since that time, I've moved. I was living in Florida, but because I prefer to live in a place that's sane, no offense to anyone who lives in Florida, but then if you live in Florida, you probably know what I'm talking about. Um, I I have moved to Wisconsin since then, and I'm doing pretty good here. I like it a lot better, but my wife and I are very happy here. Thank you very much. Anyway, to get away from that, I am in my basement right now, and I decided to do this thing because it's been in the back of my mind to do it for a long time. I just felt like doing it right now. A little bored, I guess. Maybe that's why. Just want to do something a little bit different, just for fun. So this is crude. I don't have any kind of anything really impressive looking. I'm in my basement doing a video. And if you see my thing, my favorite genre, my favorite RPG genre is superheroes because I love superheroes. I'm one of those guys that never really grew up. People try to tell me several times, you need to, put those kind of books away, put those games away and get a real job and do all this kind of stuff. I never listened. Well, there was a time in which I didn't do that. But I never really let go of comic books. I did stop role playing for a while, but I never really got away from comic books. I love reading them. I think it's an art form, and I enjoy a lot of it. So, with that being said, I do have a hard time finding people that want to play superhero games at least face to face. Fantasy has seemed to have really dominated the market, particularly now since the release of D&D 5e. Everybody's playing it. But then when I got back into role playing back in the early 90s, that's when second edition AD&D was a hot thing. Everybody was playing it. Everybody wanted to buy all the little brown booklets. So I played a lot of that. And just a game. I mean, I don't mind doing it. Just, I like superheroes. I like modern day settings because they're more familiar to me. It's less work. It's something I like doing, and I do like playing in superhero RPGs. So now that's been in the back of my mind for a while, I thought it might be fun to actually review superhero games I played with. Now these are just games I played. These are not games I own. There are a lot of people who have been gaming for a long time. I have a lot of books that I bought that I still haven't played. A lot of games I bought that I've either played once or twice and not played at all because either I just couldn't get anyone interested, couldn't get a group together, so forth. So this should just be the games I've played and role played with, not the games I own, just to make that clear. So, and some of these games I played a lot of, some of these games I only played a little bit. So some of them will have longer reviews than other ones because I don't know as much about it. I haven't had as much experience. I'm also going to do this in order of the games I started playing all the way to the most recent ones. And I'm going to start it with the very first superhero RPG I ever played, Villains and Vigilantes, Classic Edition. Now, this is actually a reprint that Monkey House Games came out with. The actual copy I used to have a long time ago. I've lost it since I've moved around. And I think an original copy retails for a lot on eBay or Amazon or something if you can find it. This is mainly because it got replaced pretty quickly. But anyway, just to make it clear, this is the view of this one. Now, it's got a nice little cover. Basically, it looks like a bunch of superheroes just, charging down a corridor, ready to fight some evil. It's got a little back thing that tells you has everything you need. And technically, it does have pretty much everything you need. contemporary for role playing in the age of superheroes. Complete rules for origin of superheroes, superpowers, use of superpowers, costumes, secret identities, scientific inventions, encounters, captured secret equipment, immunity from the law, penalties for captured villains, superhero organizations, supervillain organizations. All you need to create a world of comic book style adventure. So yeah, that's what you had. It's a little slim volume. It's only got 38 pages total. And this was not the first one. Apparently, the very first one was a game called Superhero 2044, which I think I played it for like an hour once. And I probably would not review it since I don't own it. I know nothing about it. Said it didn't seem to have rules or character creation. And this whole thing about making a schedule about what you're doing every day. I don't make a schedule everything I'm doing every day in real life. I don't know why my superhero would, but there you go. That was just something that they decided to do. I don't understand why. Anyway, so I digress. This is V&V, or I call it V&V, so I'm going to keep saying it. Now, one of the things that this game's supposed to do is you're supposed to play yourself. Meaning you're actually supposed to play you. Means if I'm sitting I'm sitting across from you and I say, well, let me see, Jim, I worked with him a couple times. I seen him lift furniture. I seen him move around. I know, he works out regularly, but he's not a professional bodybuilder. I give him a 14 strength. I saw him. He's not very, he's not very dexterous. As he tends to fall and drop things. So I could bring him like an 8 dex. Seems pretty smart. Make a 13. I think the stat. Let me see what the stats are. If I remember right. I've got strength, constitution, intelligence, dexterity, and charisma. So stuff like D&D, except no wisdom. And the intelligence, charisma. He's very likable. He's got a lot of friends. Give him like a 14, 15 charisma. Constitution, don't think he's very sick. Don't to give him an average like a 12. So you can do that, or you can just basically just roll dice. I don't know anyone that's ever played Villains, Vigilantes, or V&V and they're actually statting themselves out. I can think it to be a problem. Oh, you mean I'm not smart? What do you mean I get clumsy? I'm not clumsy. Oh, we get that on. So I don't think that would be something most people would want to do. I think it would not really work. Everybody, you don't want to play yourself. I mean, I don't play a game so you can play me. And frankly, I would not want to see me in tights. Okay, it would not be a pretty sight. I'm over 200 pounds. I'm not athletic at all. That wouldn't work. So that's something I wouldn't do. Okay, so so you either roll your stats or you start off. Now they do mention how this whole thing got started. Basically, these two guys were they basically were arguing about who would win in a fight. Jack Herman and Jeff D were arguing about who would win in a fight. Spider-Man versus Human Torch. So they just found a way to make characters so that they could fight each other. So that's what kind of got the ball rolling. Anyway, so to get a little background about how everything got started, see where that is in here. Yeah, the first there was mutants. Of course, the mutants got split into those who wanted to help humanity with their powers and those that like Magneto wanted to take over the world. Then there are people that try to make superheroes possible. Some people that try to make their own stuff and try to come up with their own superpowers, and basically that's what you had to homemade. Then design, it would be like I'd be like governments and corporations and people, societies trying to create their own superheroes and supervillains. And then you had your accidental scientific, you're bitten by a reactor spider, get caught in a blast of a gamma bomb, that kind of stuff. Sin one day, chemicals come off, the electrified chemicals douse you and you get super speed, then there's like, of course, there was supernatural, Doctor Strange, there's accidental supernatural, somebody who got powers out of some, in the same way, like somebody who get accidental scientific powers, they'll get accidental supernatural, about the same thing, just, something supernatural happened to you. And then they got the weird one called Charismatic Involvement, which is basically, as far as I can tell, it's, if you want to play Rick Jones or Snapper Carr or somebody that hangs out with the superheroes, maybe has one power, gets along with a lot of people, but basically is just there. And if I was running this game today, I would definitely tell somebody to roll something else, because nobody wants to play Rick Jones. Nobody wants to play the sidekick. Robin would be an upgrade from somebody like that. This Robin has some skills and gadgets. This guy just hangs around to be kidnapped or remind you that I need help, whatever. Okay, nobody wants to play a character like that. And then, of course, if you're not playing yourself, the other two choices are non-powered adventure, i.e., Batman. People like that, somebody that has no powers, just use gadgets and skills, and extraterrestrial people from that planet. Everybody has their own tables that they roll off of. You have a number of powers depending on what your origin type is. So I'll make this clear. I really don't like random generation of superheroes. I know some people think it's awesome, and all power to them with that. That's how they feel. I don't really like that. People should have a choice about what they want to make. And the other problem is, first off, you get powers that don't really make a lot of sense. You have to kind of like work it out, try to figure out why my character that can do this one thing works with this other power. And then you get the guy that gets like one power, like I can see really far. And the guy that gets 6 powers, well, I can see really far too. Throw a truck at somebody, fire laser beams out of my eyes, run faster than a speeding bullet, do my taxes in 3 seconds, and I don't know, something else, So you have that balance issue. Some guys are going to get some really awesome setup, and some people are going to get characters that, quite frankly, suck or can't do as much. I know some people, and of course you can fudge it. You can say, well, no, keep roll another thing or work something. And they do tell you, if you get a character and you roll sets of powers and there's a power here that just doesn't fit, just drop it. Just don't use it. And they tend to use a lot of stats, like certain powers are add this to that, and multiply. So there's a lot of little math things in there. Nothing more complicated than add, subtract, multiply, divide, but still, it's there. So it can be fun to play characters. A lot of things. This is definitely a older, 80s style, make it up as you go along kind of game, which can have its charms. There's a lot of like incompleteness. If you have magic spells and pick a magic system that you like, we recommend obviously the ones from Silver and Sorcery. But they just make something. Your GM will figure out something. You don't have like a way to handle something like magic. You just say you do it or you come up with something, which is fine. Some people can do that. I can do that. Some people would look at it, it's like, where's the rest of it? Why doesn't it explain anything? I don't know what this is about. And then of course, there's that. So you basically got these, you have a sort of a math thing going on here. Now what's interesting about this, the body art that works okay. It's kind of crude. Most of it's FT. It definitely, like I said, this is a It's a project that came out in, I don't know when it originally came out. It does 1979. So this came back like really early in the hobby, the early days. And so anyway, so you have that. You have these like direct damage hits this way that you use like a decimal system sometimes, or you have these things that you can do. Like if you have a high enough intelligence, you have a percentage of hidden with devices, detecting entrances. Dexterity determines your movement rate. Strength determines your hits, what is known as hits and direct damage. Constitution helps with your hits. People have hit points. You basically get knocked out with hit points. How many hit points damage you take knocks you out. Depending on what you roll, you can have a lot of hit points or you can have very little. Also, they have a thing where you basically take your strength, your constitution, your dexterity. Strength, intelligence, constitution, dexterity added together. That's your power potential. And those are essentially the endurance points when every power usually, every power usually costs every power you have basically costs something. It costs points, power points. So your power potential is how many points you can put into a power, which you have reserved for a power. So here's the one that, all this is it's kind of fun to make characters. I'm sort of like I said, I'm sort of ambivalent about random generation. On one side, I kind of like seeing what I get, see if I make it work. At the same time, I really like to make your characters in ground up and do it that way, because I think it's just better that way. But they do give some credit. So I will say to give some credit to, there's there's parts in here about costumes, about keeping a secret identity, about inventions, and also because this is more like a D&D derived kind of superhero game, you actually level up, and leveling up gives you like hit dice, increases your hit dice, gives you offensive bonuses, defensive bonuses, and so forth. It makes you get better as you go on. You get stronger. And of course, you have there's a bonus that you get to experience depending on what you do. If you capture a low charisma villain, you get a plus, and you get a plus to your charisma, and you get a lot more experience. If you don't get experience, one of the things they do here to try to emphasize here superheroes don't kill, if you don't get experience if you kill anyone. It says here that you will if you kill low charisma or high charisma villain, you don't get any experience points, and you get a negative to your charisma. And then if you capture or kill another vigilante, i.e. a superhero, you lose your popularity. If you keep doing this kind of stuff, if you go murder hobo, people won't like you. That's how it works. If you do a murder hobo, if you go around just killing everything you run into, and get in a fight with your friend and your other superhero, and kill him, then people don't like you. The cops come after you. You won't get a lot of the public will hate you because of what you're doing. Now, that's kind of interesting. I just noticed that right now, but because one of the big problems that I've had for a long time running superhero games is getting people that are used to D&D. They're used to games where they kill everything they run into, and they'll get, why can't we do it? And why? Or they'll just get out of prison. The biggest one I got is, well, if you kill them, they'll just get out of prison. If we don't kill them, they'll just get out of prison and escape, and we have to beat them up again. So we take them out now. We're not to worry. And this kind of says, if you do that, you're gonna get a lot of trouble with everyone. So And now we come to the part that's probably the one that confused me the most, and that's the combat system. Unlike a lot of other combat systems, they actually have a chart. I don't know if you can see that in the video. Yeah. He's a little grainy. But basically, yeah, you have attack type and defense type. So if you basically have, if you have less than a certain number of powers, then you add, you basically have this chart. So like if say I have attacking you with, my attack type is lightning, electricity, and you're using armor, that's a 16, and let's say I have magnetic powers, and I'm being attacked, then that's 4, and so forth. And if you don't have enough, there's number by parentheses that you add, and you basically have to come up with 5 numbers, add them all together, and that's the percentage chance you get of hitting somebody. I had to go online and have somebody explain that to me because I kept reading the rules and I just could not. What is this? So it's like, I was like, what? I know they did a lot of drugs back in the 70s. And maybe these guys were hitting the bottle, or I don't know. I haven't talked to Jeff D or Jack Herman about it. I think I met him one time at GameOCon. If I see him again this year, maybe I'll find out. But what is that? And it took me a while to figure it out. And I would like to, try it someday. But it looks like I can see why there was a second edition of this game, because that's probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen in any kind of game system, where you have this chart or combination, and you got to figure it all out real quick and then see if you get hit. Sometimes you'll automatically hit something. Other times your chances of hit are almost remote. Depends on what you're doing, but it sounds very confusing, and they don't really explain it too well in the rules. I had to look it up and somebody explained it to me. So there's that. There's also a lot of facing in this game. Basically, you have one of the things you might notice in a lot of V&V stuff, and one thing I will say about V&V, if I like it, is there's a lot of adventures for Village of Vigilantes. They came out with tons of them, tons of little modules you can play. And every one of these things usually had these cardboard cutouts that was basically a picture of the supervillain or superhero that you're fighting. And you basically have to get on this was grid-based combat before grid-based combat became necessary. If you think 3rd edition D&D was all about grid-based combat, this was way before that. And you basically have, like, as I say here, you have the A and you have the B, and kind of how you're facing, and that determines how you hit somebody. So this whole kind of facing, which this is 1979, so this is early tiled D&D, so it's still got the wargaming roots going on here. So you can see like all this, and of course there's modifiers for combat and what you get, it's weapons and stuff which you can use, and chances to hit modifier if you just want to attack somebody with a sword or something. And so yeah, there's this whole diagram about how that works, and so there's that. Secondly, they have a section here about adventures. What kind of adventures? Like a chart, like one of those things you roll percentile, and gives you an idea of what you're gonna run into. Then they have a section here about, like I said, you're supposed to play yourself. So they have a section here for creating like super villains, people you can fight. So and they also have so you can decide, how you roll it, super bean, part 1 super beans, and then they have thing for if you want to play like you generate some just bystanders, police officers, guy on the street. I actually used to have a bunch of cardboard cutouts that had little like things you could stand up on, like a triangle, and they had different names for it. They even had a girl with a tank top on that was called Jailbait. Okay. And so, yeah, they have a section in here. They have about immunity in the law. So in this little bitty book, little small volume, they do put a lot of work into like how you do this and this thing. And so I like that part of it. These guys obviously love what they're doing. They love the genre. They love superheroes. Not somebody trying to slap something. He's trying to create something. But you can see where the design was coming from. And you can definitely, if you read it long enough, you can definitely see, yeah, I see why they made a second edition. This definitely needed to be improved on. And then there's the running the game. They have this character, Joe Schmo, Volcanic Man, who's his only real power is like he has two powers. Armor and height strength. And he's basically the brick character. And then they have him fighting a guy named Survivor, who's an alien from another planet. And they do this whole explanation of combat, like every role-playing game you ever read. They always had that one section where they show you how to make a character and they show you how to do all that. So and it ends with that. They give you a little information about the balance and that's it. So that's the first edition. Villain Vigilantes. Like I said, it's got a little character. It's got a little character sheet in the back. Okay, it's your photocopy, obviously. And like I said, only 38 pages, but I can see it's a labor of love. I also see it's something they kind of threw together. They did the work on it, put it out there. I had a lot of fun playing this game, but like I said, the next game we're going to review is the one that I played at end of, and I think you probably guessed what that is, but I won't spoil it for you. But I'm glad I got back to doing these. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.